Hi, my name is Clover, and I'm 7 years old, and I'm here to talk to Professor Christodoulou about genes. I know about all the genes that children wear, but what are the other genes?
So the other types of genes are little packets of information that help make us who we are. So there are about 20,000 different genes, and they're in the body, and each one of them works to help make us who we are in terms of things like how tall we are, what colour hair we have, what eye colour we have, how fast we run, all kinds of stuff. And so the genes are actually located within each of the cells, and they're even located within a part of the cell called the nucleus. So it's a bit complicated.
That sounds very complicated.
Yeah, unfortunately it is, and it gives me headaches sometimes.
How can you tell if a gene is doing its job?
Wow, that's a really hard question. Sometimes we can tell that a gene is doing its job because you're healthy, but sometimes the gene, if it's not doing its job properly, causes a health problem. And one of the challenges that we have as doctors and scientists is to try and work out why that gene is causing the problem so that we can understand it better.
Why do you like working at Murdoch Children's?
So the Murdoch Children's Research Institute is one of the top research institutes focused on children's health anywhere in the world. And we are really leaders in the area of genomic medicine. We have lots of really, really smart doctors and scientists and researchers, and they're all focused on trying to improve children's health. Every day coming into work is really exciting because I get to work with so many smart people and trying to help kids get better.
Thanks, John. It's been lovely chatting to you.
That's great. Thanks, Clover. I've loved meeting with you. It's been great chatting with you too.
I don't know who was more anxious at that interview, Clover or me. I mean, it's worse than going for a grant application interview, really. I'm charged with leading the discussion for the next hour around genomic medicine and what it can deliver. And so you can see there that our vision is to develop and implement the latest genetic and functional genomic technologies to transform the lives of children and their families affected by genetic disorders. And that really aligns perfectly with the purpose of the Institute, where we're aiming to give children an opportunity for a healthy and fulfilled life. And you've heard a number of presentations today already that have talked about how genomic technologies have been implemented in terms of helping sick children. And this is exactly what we want. We want these technologies that not only genomics but other frontier omic technologies, which have been a number of years in the making, to move as rapidly as possible from being in a research arena into translating into mainstream healthcare. And the first genome cost $3 billion. We're now at a point, hopefully, Seb, where we'll be able to get a genome done for less than $1,000. And it's really transforming our capacity to be able to use the technology to help improve children's health. In genomic medicine, we're particularly focused on individuals with rare disorders. And so we have a number of really fabulous researchers who are focused in very key areas in the rare disease space. And so we've got 15 research groups focused in one of three major research areas: societal genomics, functional genomics, and translational genetics and genomics. And we have a number of really important strategic initiatives, and I'll touch on those in the next slide, that are really focused on key areas in the rare disease space. And we can't accomplish any of the work that we do without some of the really key partnerships that we have with Australian Genomics, with Melbourne Genomics, with the Victorian Clinical Genetics Service, and Catherine mentioned earlier that the VCGS is really the genomic translational arm of the MCRI. And in particular, a shout out to the bioinformatics methods groups, who are really key to making a lot of what we want to do work. So in terms of some of our priorities, in terms of strategic priorities from a research perspective, Catherine Howell already mentioned the Acute Care Genomics Project and how transformative that's been in delivering ultra-rapid genetic diagnosis to the sickest of the children in an ICU setting. And Catherine also mentioned IPCHIP, which is something that we're really proud of. It's the International Precision Child Health Partnership, which is allowing us to forge really important collaborations with the other 3 major paediatric research institutes globally, Hospital for Sick Kids in Toronto, Boston Children's, and UCL Great Ormond Street. And I won't go through all of the projects that are listed here, but suffice it to say that some of them are national projects that are led by us, others are national projects that we co-lead with others, and others are local projects that we lead. But each one of them is aimed at using these cutting-edge frontier technologies to boost genetic diagnosis and also to gain a better understanding of the underlying biology behind those disorders, because that's going to be critical in allowing us to think about what therapies, precision therapies we can implement for these disorders. And some of them will be repurposed drugs, so drugs that are being used for something else, that where we can garner the evidence to say, well, actually, we can repurpose this. And this is ideal because they already have a track record and can be very rapidly moved directly into clinical care. And then there are others where getting a better understanding by doing a deep dive into the biology will allow us to design new therapies. And we've, at the Institute, we've got the facilities to be able to go all the way through there in terms of developing those. What I'd like to do is just very quickly give a brief snapshot of each of our research groups before I hand on to the people who are going to talk about the much more interesting stuff. So we've heard how genomics is a really powerful technology, but to channel Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. And so the biomedical ethics group, led by Julian Savulescu, is very much focused on looking at the ethical and societal issues associated with these new technologies to make sure that we're introducing them responsibly. Clara Gaff leads the Genomics in Society group and has also been at the forefront in leading the Melbourne Genomics Health Alliance for a number of years now. And her group is focused on developing solutions for delivering genomic technologies into health services and also understanding the potential psychosocial impacts of genomics. And you'll hear more from Clara and some members from her team in a minute or two. Lisa Hoy leads the Reproductive Epidemiology Group, which is really focused on moving from understanding the factors that can affect in preconception and perinatal influences that can affect health outcomes well beyond birth into childhood and adulthood. And I'm already getting a hurry along. So David Godler's one of our young guns, and he's been developing new approaches for rapid, faster genetic diagnosis of a range of disorders that already have treatments available to them. Not so young Martin Delaticchi He is a clinician scientist and is leading clinical research into neurogenetics, and particularly leading clinical trials in Friedreich ataxia. Moderately young Ravi Sivararayan has been for over a decade now leading research focused on bringing new precision therapies into the clinic, and through his team's work over a decade now, they've brought a new precision therapy for one of the most common short stature disorders, achondroplasia, which is now available to kids in Australia through the PBS. Seb Lunk and Zornitza Stark are our superstars who are using genomic technologies in ways we wouldn't have ever thought of before, and with the aim of bringing them to the clinic. Young Ange Morgan leads the speech and language group, and her group is focused on improving the outcomes for children who have major speech and language disorders. A couple of crusties, David Thorburn and me, lead the Brain and Mitochondrial Research Group, and we're very much focused on primary mitochondrial disorders and other neurogenetic and neurodevelopmental disorders in terms of understanding their biology. Daniel MacArthur leads a fabulous team at the Centre for Population Genomics, which straddles the Murdoch and the Garvan Institute, and they're building amazing population genomic data sets, which are going to intersect beautifully with Gen V as that aspect of Gen V activity starts to kick off. Our fearless leader leads the Muscle Research Group, which is focused on understanding muscle function and in particular the extremes of performance, both good and bad. Paul Lockhart leads the Neurogenetics Group, again focused on neurodevelopmental and neurogenetic disorders, and doing some really wonderful deep dive work into the biology there. Our super sleuths, Sue White and Tiong Tan, lead the Rare Disease Discovery Group, which are really harnessing all of these omic technologies to bring new diagnoses as rapidly as possible to children. And then finally, Andrew Sinclair and Katie Ayres lead the Reproductive Development Group, who are focused on identifying the genetic causes of differences in sexual development. So you can see there's a huge array there of individuals who are doing some really fabulous work. I'd like to call up to the stage Belinda, Alison and Clara, who are going to give the next presentation, and their focus is on that major challenge of being able to bring non-genetic health professionals and the community and families on the journey with us to better understand the power and value of genomics.